الله تعالى سيدنا محمد أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه يوم الدين. نويت تعلم التعليم وتذكر التذكير ونفع الانتفاع والإفادة استفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله سنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم والدعاء للهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته قربه ثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم. عدد كل في كتب أكتب أبدا العبد من دار الداهرين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من أن أضل وزن وأظلم أو أجهل أو يجهل عليه. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى والجملنا بالعافية يا رب الراحمين يا رب الراحمين يا رب الراحمين. We begin by praising Allah Ta'ala as it is His due right to be praised, and we ask for His salutations and peace and blessings for the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his family, his companions, all his fathers and brethren in prophecy, and all those who follow in his footsteps. May Allah make us amongst them. Ameen. طيب. So we are leaving. We picked up from last class. We were talking about, we're starting the section of fiqh in the book, the encompassing epistle, Risala al-Jami'a. And the author begins the section of fiqh by talking about how to make wudu. How to make wudu. So if we were to think about a child is born into this world, a Muslim child. Now its parents must teach the child, right? The first thing every person must learn is how to perform salah. Every single Muslim on the face of the earth, so long as their intellect is sound, okay, and they can understand, then they must be taught how to pray, right? And to pray, you need to also be in a state of wudu. For that reason, it's only natural for the author to start with the section on how to make wudu, because you have to learn how to make wudu first before you can learn how to pray, which is incumbent on every single Muslim. Okay? So it begins with the section of wudu. The Prophet says in hadith, he says, at-tahara miftahu as-salah. He says making wudu or being purified is the key to salah, is the key to performing prayer. So you cannot enter a house, for example, without a key. You need a key to enter a house. Likewise, you need a key to enter salah, and that key gives you admission into salah, lets you enter into salah in the presence of your Lord, is being in a state of purity, being pure in your clothes and your body from all impurities, but also being pure by being in a state of ritual purity by having wudu. So he says in the book, he starts by talking about the pillars of wudu, or the integrals of wudu, the things that you must perform in wudu in order for your wudu to be sound. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, He says, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, idha qumtum ila salati, faghsilu wujuhakum wa aydiyakum ila al-marafiqi, wamsahu bi ru'usikum wa arjulakum ila al-ka'bayn. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, He says that, O you who believe, if you are going to establish the prayer, if you're going to pray, then you must wash your face. You must wash your arms until the elbows. Thank you. You must wipe your head, and you must wash your feet until the ankles. So most of the pillars of wudu are mentioned in this ayah of the Quran, where Allah Ta'ala tells us to wash your face, wash your arms, wipe your head, and wash your feet. Okay? But the author mentions how many integrals? He mentions 6. Okay? So where do the other 2 come from? The Prophet says in the hadith, he says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. He says, actions are by their intentions. Okay? Actions are by their intentions. What does that mean? So I am a person, I'm a Muslim, I've gone to the faucet or the sink. I've turned the sink on and I've washed my hands. Okay? This washing of my hands, am I intending wudu, which is a worship? Am I intending just to wash my hands because they're dirty, which is not necessarily worship? Am I intending to, cool my hands off? Am I, just washing my hands to eat? So an action, okay, can reflect many different meanings. It can just be a habit, washing your hands, like you wake up in the morning, you wash your hands before, you wash your face, you brush your teeth and everything like that. Or it could just be because it's, something you want to do habitually for the dunya, washing, something impure off, even if it's not najasa, okay? Or it could be worship. So to differentiate our actions, to make sure they are in fact worship and not just routine actions, we must make intentions, okay? We must make intentions. So we go to the faucet and you wash your face when you wake up in the morning. Is your washing of the face just something you're doing for cleanliness and hygiene? or is it something that is actually something you're doing to worship Allah Ta'ala? So to make this differentiation, we intend. So what do? The first pillar, he says, the first integral of wudu, the first component of making wudu is to intend. Okay? To intend to perform ablution or wudu, what we call in Arabic wudu. In English, we would call it ablution. Okay? What that means is that someone intends, when they first start to perform wudu, they intend and they say, I intend to perform wudu. Or I intend to purify myself to pray. That's it. Okay? You just say this in your heart as you perform it, or you can say it on your tongue, which is better. You just say, I intend to purify myself to pray, or I intend to perform wudu. When do you say it? You say it as you wash your face. You say it as you wash your face. Okay? So we say this intention, and we say it when we begin to wash our face. Okay? Whether you choose to wash your face from the top, which is the best thing to do, because it's sunnah to start at the top, and let the water flow down and help you wash your face. Or someone decides to wash their face from the side, okay? Or someone decides to wash their face from the bottom. Or someone just, has a hose and starts spraying their face. It doesn't matter. The point is, when you first start washing your face, you intend, okay? And every portion of your face that you wash before you make an intention isn't counted as part of your wudu. So for example, okay? I get to the faucet. I turn on the faucet. Okay, I get some water and I start washing my face from the top. I'm halfway through and I realize, I didn't make an intention. Or, for example, I realize, I'm here anyway, I might as well make wudu. So I decide to change my intention from just, washing my face for hygiene reasons to making wudu. The point is, I've now washed half of my face without an intention for wudu. What do? You make an intention, you finish washing your face, and you rewash the portion of your face that you washed without an intention. Okay? So the intention for wudu is what lets you enter the act of wudu. So you take water and you say, I intend to purify myself for salah, and you wash your face. Or you say, I intend to make wudu or ablution, and I'll wash my face. Okay? And if you wash a portion of your face without this intention, you have to start over. Okay? You have to start over. So if you say, for example, you start like this, and then halfway through, I intend to perform wudu, and you finish washing your face, you got to go back and wash the part that was washed before you made your intention. Okay? That's the first integral, to make your intention. All right? To make your intention. Why? Because we want to differentiate our everyday actions from our worship. And to be rewarded, we have to intend worship. We have to be intend worship. Okay? So he says the first integral is to make an intention. Okay? The second integral is what? To wash your face. Okay? To wash your face completely. So you say, I intend to wash my face, and you have to wash your entire face. Just like what is mentioned in the ayah, Allah Ta'ala says, Tamam, فَغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. Wash your face. Okay? Okay, great. We wash our face. Now we have two questions. What does wash mean, and what does face mean? What do you guys think? What does wash mean? What's your name? You. Yeah. Gerald. What does washing mean to you, Gerald? Just cleaning. So if I get Clorox and I pour it on the thing on your face, for example, does that count as washing? Nah. What do you guys think? What's washing mean? Saleh, what does washing mean?
Water runs over the surface.
Water runs over the surface. Okay. Water must actually run over the surface of your face. Okay. Water must actually run over the surface of your face. Okay. In contrast to just dampening your face or moistening your face. Someone comes and they have, for example, a rag or a paper towel. They wet it and they just, they start damping their face. Okay. Patting their face with this paper towel. Is that washing? Is water actually running over their face? No. So washing means to actually have water run over your face. So you can actually see droplets of water coming over your face. Okay. Theoretically, if you have a wet enough rag and you're really, start slapping your face with that wet rag, you might have enough water get on there where it runs over. But if you're just patting your face with a damp piece of cloth or something, that's not considered washing. Okay. So washing is to actually have water run over that limb. Okay. That's the first question we've answered now. What does washing mean? Next question. What is a face? What do you guys think? Where does your face start and where does your face end? Huh? Tell them. at the end of your hairline. To your jaw. Yeah. Yeah. So the question now, where does your face start and end? The brother said from your hairline to your chin or to where your jawbone is, and from your ear, where your ear starts to where your ear ends or ear starts here. Okay. What if you don't have a hairline? How far back do you have to go? Huh? To your neck. Start from back here. So for most people who have a hairline, okay, you start with where your hairline is. Your face is defined as where your hairline is to the bottom of your chin. Okay. And from your ear, this little nub, not this part of your ear, but the little nub here to this little nub here. Okay. Now, if someone doesn't have a hairline, they're bald, they shave their head regularly, or I just created them like this without a hairline, they would look at where their hairline would normally be. A typical person, where is their hairline? Okay. And that's where their face starts. Some people are the opposite. Their hairlines are so low, they have hair meeting their eyebrows. Happens sometimes, you know? Okay. Someone has a hairy forehead. All right. This person, again, they would look at where their hairline typically starts for the average person. Okay. So you wash from hairline to the bottom of your chin. Okay. And from the nub of your ear here to here. That is defined as your face and everything in between. Okay. Of course, to play it safe, right, you have to wash a little bit beyond that, right? You won't be sure that you've washed your entire face unless you wash a little bit beyond the boundary of your face, right? Right? So you have to wash a little bit extra to make sure, you know, your ears get wet, your hair gets wet, so you're 100% sure that you washed your face. Okay? So your face is defined as from the top of your hairline to here, okay, your chin or your jawbone, and from ear to ear. Okay? And every single thing on your face must get wet. All the skin on your face must get wet. The nooks and crannies, you know, you have these folds in your eyes, they must get wet. Okay? Sometimes you wake up in the morning and you have, you know, you have something in your eye, you have sleep dust or gunk in your eyes, you got to get that out. Okay? You make sure everything gets wet. Hair gets underneath, water gets underneath the hair as well. All right? Every single inch of skin and hair on your face must get wet, with the exception of one. If you are a male who has a thick beard, a beard in the Shafi'i madhab is defined as the hair on your chin. Okay? The hair on your chin is considered a beard in the Shafi'i madhab, as well as the hair on your jawbone. Okay? From your ear nub to your jawbone like that. I guess what you would call sideburns. All right? If this hair is thick, all right, for a male, if it's thick, what does thick mean? Thick means that if you're at normal conversing distance with someone, you can't see the skin underneath. Okay? So if their beard is thick, such that someone can't see the skin underneath their beard in normal conversing distance, okay, then they don't have to get water inside their beard. It's enough just to have water run over their beard. But if their beard is thin, or they have hair anywhere else, like on their cheeks, their eyebrows, their eyelashes, they have to get water inside. Okay? And that's pretty straightforward. You don't have to worry about, well, how do I get water into my eyebrow? No, water, its nature is that it flows everywhere, right? It gets in every nook and every cranny. So if you just use water on your face and you rub, okay, just like normally washing your face, you can rest assured that water will get underneath, okay? Water will get underneath. Clear? طيب. So that means that we have to be careful now, because nowadays there are a lot of cosmetic products out there that can actually act as a repellent and keep water from reaching your face. Okay? For example, eyelash extensions. Okay? What do you guys think? Does it prevent water from reaching your eyelashes? Huh? Do you guys know how they work? So you have a woman has her eyelashes, right? Her natural eyelashes. And there's usually some sort of like material they put on it to make it stick, and they put fake lashes on top, right? That's how it works, right? Yeah. Pretty sure that's how it works. Okay. All right. In this case, right, that material that's acting as a like adhesive agent, all right, that would repel water. Water won't get to the actual eyelashes because some of it is covered by the adhesive agent. If someone's wearing something on their face, whether it's makeup or lotion or something thick that prevents water from actually reaching their face, it must be removed before they perform wudu. Okay, otherwise their wudu will be considered incomplete. Okay, because water, we said, has to reach every nook and cranny of their face. Okay, all right. Right. So that's the first integral, to make sure that water reaches every single portion of your face. And that's what the author says. He says to wash your face, and that the limits of your face, or the boundaries of your face, are defined as where your hairline starts to the end of your jawbone or your chin in terms of length, and from ear to ear in terms of width. Okay? That is your face. Question. A woman has a beard. A woman, hypothetical, has a beard. What would she do? Does she have to get water into the beard? Huh? What do you guys think? What's your name? Yeah. Muhammad. Amr. What do you think? But why? We just said that if you have a beard. I said a male. You're paying attention. Okay. I said a male. So in the case where if a woman has a beard, she has to get water underneath. Why? Because it's quite rare for a woman to have a beard. It's very rare, right? To have a woman where a woman has a really thick beard. Okay. So if she does occur, then she has to get water underneath. All right. So the exception made for beard hair is exclusive to men. Okay. It is exclusive to men. Clear? Are there any questions? Go ahead. So the sister asked, does chapstick act as a barrier on the lip? So you have to use your judgment. How much do you apply? Chapstick differs in consistency, right? You just use your judgment whether or not the water actually reaches your skin or not. So a few rules of thumb that you can follow are the following. If what you're using on your face is something liquid, like a liquid moisturizer, like someone, for example, uses a coconut oil on their face, or some sort of, moisturizing oil on their face, right? These types of liquid moisturizers, generally they say, are okay. All right? Are okay. They won't prevent water from reaching your skin. Thicker stuff you use, like someone rubs their face with Vaseline. Vaseline's quite thick, okay? Or like, I don't know what people use. Point is, use something really thick, all right? This thick substance you use, if it's really thick and waxy, can actually prevent water from reaching your skin. And you have to use your judgment, because every product is different, and how everyone applies their products is different. So it's difficult to just give like a one ruling, okay? But if it's a liquid thing that you're using, generally speaking, you can rest assured water will get through, okay? If it's more solid or waxy or more viscous, like Vaseline, okay, then you have to be careful, okay? How much you applied and when you applied it. Because over time, right, your pores will soak it in, some of it will rub off, right? So if you apply it like, right now and you make wudu, it's very different than if you applied it, you waited 2 or 3 hours, then you go make wudu, right? It just differs. The second thing you can take into account as well is look at how the water reacts to what you used. So if you have, for example, something really thick and oily on your face, like Vaseline, right? The water, it'll react differently to it. Like it'll bead and it won't actually run over your face, right? So just look at how the water reacts to it and, use your judgment, all right? Generally speaking, I think most people, as long as they're not using really thick substances like Vaseline right before they make wudu, they're okay, Let's say before you go to bed, you put something thick on your face or your feet or your hands. By the time you wake up for Fajr, usually most of it has gotten off. And if you still feel like there's still something there, you can just wash it off. Okay. You can use your finger, scrape it, and see if there's anything comes off. Right. So Vaseline, if you scrape it, you'll notice residue under your fingernails. Right. So if there's residue, there's something there, and you have to wash it off or clean it off with soap maybe before you make wudu. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
So the first step is washing your face, and you wash your hands.
So the author, he's taken the approach of giving you the absolute bare minimum wudu. Okay. Yeah. What the wudu the author is describing here is a wudu where if you just perform it, you have the bare bones wudu that is valid. Then the extra stuff will bring into the end. Okay.
Also, when you make the intention, should you, like, if you're in the bathroom and say, is it okay to say I intend to purify myself in the bathroom?
Yeah. So the brother asked, is it okay to intend something like saying I intend to purify myself for salah while you're in the bathroom, or normally you do things that are like relieving yourself? Is that okay? It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. All right. If it's something, if you want to, you can say it in your heart and that's enough, right? But if you want to say it with your tongue, it's okay as well, because you're not mentioning the name of Allah Ta'ala or anything like that. Okay? Anything else? Fadla, Gerald. We'll get to that, inshallah. He asked about what if there's no water. We'll get to that, inshallah. Okay? Yeah? The sister asked, is it okay to state your intentions before you wash your hands? You can, but you should repeat it when you wash your face. Okay? There's a difference of opinion among scholars in this issue. The Shafi'i's opinion is that you have to say it when you wash your face. Some other scholars hold the position that, even if you have your intention in your heart as you're walking up to the sink, okay, it's enough. Okay? Is that clear? Should we move on?
So in regards to this, saying starting out washing your hands by saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Yeah.
What is the take on that if you're in the bathroom? I guess you could say what constitutes that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the brother is asking, what would you do if you are, for example, in a bathroom and you want to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim before you start your wudu, which is a sunnah? We'll cover that when we get to sunnahs, inshallah. Okay? If I don't bring it up, remind me. All right? طيب. So he said the first one is to make an intention. The second integral is to wash your face. Okay? طيب. The third integral, he says, is to wash your hands up to and including the elbows. Just like what was mentioned in the ayah of the Quran, where Allah Ta'ala said, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, to wash your hands up to and including the elbows. Okay? So this one, straightforward again. So we know what washing means, right? To have water actually flow over your limbs, right? So make sure you wash your elbow completely, wash your arms completely from the tips of your fingers and up to and including the elbow, okay? Up to and including the elbow, all right? So everyone knows what an elbow is, right? This joint between your forearm and your upper arm. It's called your elbow. Make sure you wash your elbow completely as well. So you have to wash your entire arm from your tips to the elbow. All the hair and all the skin must be encompassed. Okay? That means that number one, if you have things under your fingernails, make sure underneath your fingernails are clean. Okay? So sometimes someone's work might cause them to have dirty fingernails, right? Someone's a mechanic, someone paints houses, someone's a baker, they have dough underneath their fingernails, whatever it may be, right? Make sure underneath your fingernails are clean. Okay? Make sure underneath your fingernails are clean, and you wash your arms in entirety from the tips to up to and including the elbows. Make sure there's nothing on your skin. So sometimes, for example, if you paint a house, you get paint on your skin, and it's like a barrier between your skin and the water. Okay? Make sure you get that off. All right? Make sure that there's nothing if you have any extra limbs. Some people got 6 fingers, 7 fingers, they have growths on their arms. Everything gets encompassed and washed completely by water. Okay? This means that, for example, you can't have things on like nail polish. All right? So like fake nails, nail polish, it will prevent you from having a sound wudu. Okay? It will prevent you from having a sound wudu. Okay? Question. So nowadays you'll find things marketed as like halal nail polish. You guys heard about this? Nail polish that is marketed as wudu friendly or halal nail polish. The ones that I've seen and heard about, when they describe the nail polish, they say that that moisture penetrates it. So what do you guys think? We learned what wash means. Does moisture penetrating the nail polish, is it enough to be called the washing? It's not enough, right? So moisture penetrating is not enough. An actual wash means water flows over it, right? So having nail polish on, even though it might let moisture penetrate, will still cause your wudu to be incomplete. It will still cause your wudu to be incomplete. Okay? واضح? تمام? طيب. Another question. Okay? Someone gets ink on their hands. Someone has a ballpoint pen and they just start writing on their hands. Okay? Will that prevent water from reaching their hands? Why is that? If you scrape it, what comes off? Nothing comes off, right? So now you guys know things are different, right? You have to use your judgment, okay? If what you're using or what you have on your hand has substance to it, okay, like paint. If you have paint on your hand and you scrape it, you'll feel paint, right? If it's wet, it'll actually come off. If it's dry, you'll feel it and it might scrape off, it might not, right? Depending on how strong the paint is. Grease, you can scrape off, okay? But some things will get sucked, will get absorbed by your pores almost immediately, like ballpoint pen ink. You scrape it, nothing happens. Feel free to wash your hands. You're okay. All right. So similarly, cosmetics that we use, like lotions and things like that, use your judgment. Okay. Same thing as what we covered for the face, right? If it's a liquid moisturizer, you're fine. But if it's a more substantial moisturizer, a thicker one like Vaseline, all right, use your judgment. If it has substance to it, where you scrape it and you actually see substance come off, you got to get it off. Otherwise, if nothing is there and the water's flowing over it, you should be okay, right? You should be okay, all right? That's your arms. So you wash your arms from your fingertips up to and including the elbows. And you should go above your elbows a little bit, because how else can you be sure that you wash your elbows except by washing a bit of your upper arms as well, right? Upper arms as well. The fourth integral is to wipe a portion of your scalp or the hair on your head. Okay? Wipe a portion of your scalp or the hair on your head. Okay? We talked about what washing means. What does wiping mean? What do you guys think? Washing, we said, is to have water run over the limb, right? What does wiping mean? Yeah? Have your hands wet and just wipe over it. Meaning, you just want moisture to reach it. So wiping means just have moisture reach your scalp or the hair on your head. However you want to make that happen, it's up to you. You want to stick your head under the faucet? Go ahead. All right? You want to just do this? Go ahead. No problem. The point is, have moisture reach your scalp, tamam, or the hair on your head in any way, shape, or form you like. Okay? So it's a lot easier to accomplish than washing. Okay? So he says to wipe a portion of your scalp or the hair on your head, or some of the hair on your head. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that, first of all, he said some. It's enough just to do this. You wet your finger and you just do that. You're done. That is the bare minimum. Okay? You wet your fingertip and you just do that, and you're done. All right? Obviously, I'm wearing something on my head, but imagine my hair is out. I just do that and I'm done. Or, you stick it underneath and you're done. Okay? That's the minimum for wiping. All right? There's no minimum in terms of surface area, how many hairs you got to get, what percentage of your head you have to wipe. No, just get some moisture on your head. The next question is, what is defined as your head? It's pretty obvious, right? That's your head. Okay? That's your head. The question now, though, is what about the hair on your head? Okay? If you have short hair, it's pretty easy, right? It's pretty easy. But what if you have long hair? What if you have long hair? Imagine someone has long hair. Okay? Someone has long hair. Someone has long hair. Okay? What do? Huh? If they do this, is that enough? What do you guys think? But it's the hair on their head, and they got it moist. Why doesn't it count? It's not touching the head. What does the book say? Someone read what the book says. Who has the book in front of them? For point number 4. Or the hair that covers it. Okay? Meaning, the hair has to be in the boundary of the head. Okay? The hair that you wipe must be included in the boundary of your head. Okay? So we know what the boundary of your head is. The question now is, how do you know if your hair is in the boundary of your head? Right? Look how technical it gets. Okay? Like, someone has long hair. Okay? Someone has long hair. If they let their hair down, imagine their hair is down and it actually falls due to gravity. Okay? So people's hair are different. Some people have hair that, it might not always fall. And some people have hair that falls. The point is, imagine their hair falls. Okay? Someone has really long hair. Imagine the hair falls. Which direction is it going to fall in? The hair on your head is going to fall where? It's going to fall like this, right? The hair on your side is going to fall down towards your ears, and the hair on your back is going to fall towards your neck. Okay? So if you wipe the portion of your hair that if it were to fall, it would be outside the boundary of your head, your wudu does not count. If you wipe the portion of your hair that if it were to fall, it'd be outside the boundary of your head, it would not count. What does that mean? That means that if you have hair on your side of your head, look, this is now not in the boundary of my head, right? Whereas this is. So if I wipe here, I'm good. If I wipe here, it doesn't count. All right? If it's in the front of my head, okay, if I wipe here, does that count? Doesn't count. If I wipe here, it counts. So even if, I have my hair in a ponytail, for example, right? I have my hair in a ponytail, and this part of my head is like that. If I wipe there, does it count? It doesn't count, because if I were to let it go, what would happen? It would fall like that, okay? So the easiest thing to do, right, if you have long hair, just get your finger moist, get it under the tap, and just stick it in, and you're done. Get the roots, and you're done. All you have to do is get some of the roots of your hair wet, and you are done. Okay? So the fourth integral of wiping a portion of the scalp or the hair on your head. So understand what wiping means, to have moisture reach your skin. Okay? And we understand that you either get your scalp moist or you get some of your hair moist, and we understood what it means to have hair in the boundary of your head. Okay? So if someone has hair extensions, okay? If someone has hair extensions and they wipe the extensions, does that count? It does not count. If someone has product in their hair, really, really thick, product in their hair, does that count? Will that let moisture reach their hair? It won't let moisture reach their hair, okay? So be careful. Make sure you actually have moisture reach your scalp or your real hair, okay? And make sure that hair that you get moist is in the boundary of your head. Tamam? طيب. The fifth integral is to wash your feet up to and including your ankles, okay? Similarly, what does washing mean? Have water run over it. Okay. What's considered your foot? Tips of your toes up to and including your ankles. So everyone knows what toes are and everyone knows what ankles are, right? So make sure you get your entire foot wet. All the nooks and crannies. Make sure there's nothing underneath your fingernail, your toenails, okay? In the West, because we wear a lot of socks, you might have some lint under your toenails maybe, right? Make sure you just try your best, get it out, okay? And if you keep short toenails, usually you don't have this issue. You get your feet completely wet. If you have cracks in your feet, you get water in the cracks to the best of your ability. Just get your foot wet. Get your foot wet, okay? Get your foot wet. طيب. And the last integral is what? It is to perform your wudu in this sequence. To maintain the sequence in your wudu. What is the sequence? Face, okay? Face with intention, and then your arms, and then your head, and then your feet. If you mess up the sequence, okay, in the Shafi'i school, your wudu doesn't count. Why is the sequence so important? Because Allah Ta'ala mentioned it sequentially in the ayah. Okay? He specifically mentioned it in the sequence, which means that the sequence is important. Furthermore, the Prophet ﷺ in all his hadith, all the narrations mention his wudu being sequential. He never made wudu without sequence. Okay? So the arrangement or the sequence of these limbs is important. Okay? So someone, for example, decides to start with their feet. They go to a public bathroom. No one's there. And they're like, what an opportunity. I'm going to wash my feet first. Okay? They wash their feet first before anyone else comes in. And then they go to wash their face. In the Shafi'i school of fiqh, their wudu is considered not valid. Okay? Their wudu is considered not valid. It's as if they never washed their foot. Okay? It's as if they never washed their foot. Okay? So if you wash something outside of the proper order, it doesn't count. Okay? So if he washed his feet first, and then he washed his face, and then arms, and then wiped his head, what does he have to do now to have a valid wudu? He has to rewash his feet because his feet were out of order. He brought his feet forward to the beginning, and it has to go at the end after you wipe your head. Does that make sense? So if he does, for example, another example, he does face, head, arms, and feet. He washed his face, he wiped his head, he washed his arms, he washed his feet. Okay? What do you guys think? What is he supposed to do now to rectify his wudu? What do you think? He washed his face. He wiped his head. He washed his arms. He washed his feet. Okay? So the right order is what? It's face, arms, head, feet, right? So what did he do wrong? He went out of order, right? He brought his head forward before his arms. So what does he have to do now? he makes wudu in the right order. He can start over if he likes, okay? But if he wants to continue, okay, his face is correct. He doesn't have to rewash his face because he washed it properly, firstly, okay? After he washed his face, what was he supposed to wash? His arms. But he went to his head instead, and then he did his arms. So the wiping of his head is as if it never happened, okay? As if it never happened, all right? And his washing of the arms, it counts. Because as long as you wash your arms after you wash your face, it counts, okay? And your wiping of your head doesn't count unless you do it after you wash your arms, okay? So for this person who went face, head, arms, feet, what does he have to do now to make sure his wudu is sound? He has to re-wipe his head and he has to re-wash his feet. Because wiping your head doesn't count unless you've done it after washing your feet, and washing your feet doesn't count unless you do it after wiping your head. And he wiped his head before washing his arms, and he washed his feet before he wiped his head properly. Does that make sense? Are there any questions? Go ahead. If you have an injury that can't get wet, can you what? Okay, so she asked if you have an injury that can't get wet. Okay, this is kind of a more complicated issue. Let me see if it comes in the book. 1 second. So it doesn't come up in the book. We can talk about it, no problem. Okay, so if you have an injury that can't get wet, what do you do? Let's say I have a wound on my arm. Okay, I have a wound on my arm. Okay, and you can't get it wet. You just wash around it. Okay, you just wash around it. All right, to the best of your ability. And then when you get to the time for washing that wound, you do what's called tayammum, which is you make a sort of ritual purity with dust. Okay, so you wipe your head with dust and you wipe your arms with dust. And this is something that is not actually covered in this book because it's more of an advanced topic, but that's what you would do. Okay, you do tayammum when you get to the actual spot for that wound. So if you have a wound on your arm, for example, I wash my face, I wash the parts of my arm that I can get wet, I stop at the wound, I make tayammum, and then I resume my wudu by wiping my head and wiping my feet. Okay? Is there any ruling when it comes to socks, okay, and wudu? Okay, so the default is that you must wash your feet, right? The default that we learned today is that you must wash your feet when you make wudu. And washing your feet means you actually have to get water running over it, okay? That's the default. There are certain instances where you can wipe over your socks instead. When is that? If your socks are strong enough, okay, where they're waterproof. So if you wet them, you won't actually feel water on your feet. Okay, number one. Number two, the socks cover your entire foot, including your ankles. Number three, the socks are also sturdy enough where you can run and do short errands in them. So for example, I'm wearing dress socks, okay? If I were to wear these dress socks and just walk outside to the parking lot, to my car, turn it on, drive around for a bit, go to the grocery store, come back, okay? It would affect the durability of my sock, wouldn't it? They're not intended to be worn for that kind of that kind of errand, right? I might get a bit of hole in it, it would wear out, okay? So these kind of socks don't fit the criteria because you can't wear them for errands in your locality, okay? But let's say I have a thicker sock. They sell these like hiking socks or these outdoorsman socks that are waterproof and they're really thick. Okay, they're really thick. They're intended for someone to wear them, whether being frontiersmen and going hunting and stuff like that. All right. If a sock meets this criteria of being waterproof, covering your entire foot, and being sturdy where you can actually wear it out and about for just short errands, you can wipe over the top of your sock instead of making wudu, instead of washing your feet. Okay, but dress socks typically don't meet that criteria because they're so thin. All right, they're so thin.
So let's say you wash your face and your arms, like 20 minutes later you wash your feet. Is that so counted?
Yeah, so the brother asked, let's say I wash my face, my arms, and wipe my head, and then I delay washing my feet by 20 minutes. Let's say, for example, I'm at the airport, all right? I find the bathroom, and I make wudu, except for with my feet, right? and the foot washing station is at the musalla of the airport, which is like a 20-minute walk in that direction. Okay. I go there to wash my feet, for example. Okay. Is that allowed? It's perfectly allowed. Okay. It's just sunnah to make sure everything's done, one after the other. But if you want to delay something, it's completely okay. It's practical for some cases, like the airport scenario I just mentioned. Okay. Or if you're in a scenario where you don't have water for your feet, but you'll find water for your feet later. That's also very practical to delay washing your feet. Okay. So you can delay washing your limbs if you want to. Even if, for example, I wash my face in Al-Rahma, I go home and wash my arms. I go to Ann Arbor and wipe my head, and I wash my feet in Flint. It's okay. All right. That's a proper wudu. All right. As long as you don't do anything in between, use a bathroom or something like that. Okay. Any other questions? Shoes count for wiping over. So he's asking, do shoes count in terms of wiping over if they meet this criteria? Okay. So if you're wearing shoes that don't completely cover your foot. So for example, like a lady's wearing flats, all right, or you're wearing sandals or open-toed shoes. Okay. Sometimes a part of your foot will be exposed. That won't count. But let's say you're wearing a shoe that covers your entire foot and your ankle. Okay. And it's waterproof and there's definitely sturdy. You can wipe over your shoes. Yeah. You can wipe over your shoes. Yeah. No, he asked, what if it covers only half your ankle? It must cover your entire ankle. Okay. The shoe must cover your entire ankle. Okay. And he asked, how do you wipe over it? You just wipe over the top. So where the laces would typically be, the top of your foot. Okay. And make sure if you are going to use this, okay, you put on your shoe when you have wudu. So make a complete wudu and put on your shoe or your sock or your sturdy sock and then go about your business. All right. If you wear socks that cover your ankle, but your shoes that don't cover your ankle, the thing you're wiping over, the outermost layer, must be covering your ankle. Okay.
So you've seen what Timberlands look like.
Yeah.
So they're shoes that they're waterproof, right? The tongue is on the inside of the wall, just where you can tie the laces.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the waterproofness of it, let's say I just put my boot under a tap.
Right.
And, water managed to get in through the nook of the tongue and where the laces.
So he's asking, what about if you have a Timberland boot and water gets in through for example, where the laces come through, right? Does that count as waterproof? If water comes in through where the laces go in or through where it's sewn, it's okay. Yeah. The actual material must be waterproof. Okay. But the places where it's stitched together or laced together, those little nooks and crannies, if water gets in through there, it's okay. All right. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. So the sister asked, she heard that Prophet ﷺ used only a handful of water to make wudu. So he did, but this will depend based on the amount of water someone needs will depend on themselves, like their size, obviously, if they're larger or smaller. And as well, it'll also depend on their skin type, okay? And even the weather, right? Because you might be somewhere where water is evaporating as you're making wudu. He used that much water for himself, given his body type, his skin type, and his conditions, the conditions he lived in. Yourself, you just look at yourself. Don't waste water and use the water that you need just to make wudu, okay? And that fulfills the sunnah. Okay? So if some people, they just let the tap, they just blast it when they're making wudu, and that's wasting water. And water is a precious commodity. We might not realize it, because we don't actually, see where the water collects and how it gets to our pipes and everything. But it is a precious commodity, and it shouldn't be wasted for no reason. So just use what you need to make wudu, and that fulfills the sunnah, inshallah. Okay. He's saying, can you just wipe over your sock and shoe anytime you want? Or is it specific to a time and place? You can do it whenever you want, as long as you meet all the conditions. You put it on when you have wudu, and the sock or shoe meets the criteria. You can do it whenever you like. Okay? All right? So that we covered now is a minimum wudu. So the absolute minimum you need to make wudu is to just wash your face with the proper intention, wash your arms, wipe a portion of your head, and wash your feet in that order, and you are done. you have a proper wudu. Okay. Now, let's say, you're in a swimming pool, all right, and you want to make wudu. What can you do? Just completely submerge yourself, all right, and just in your heart make an intention for wudu, and you got it. You're done, all right, because you're already completely submerged in water, all right. You're completely submerged in water, so you just make an intention, and the sequence or the order is considered to be done automatically because everything is wet at the same time. All right. So if you want to make wudu in a swimming pool, which might happen, you're out with your family in a swimming pool. Mashallah, you rented out a private pool for the day. Okay. You're there and you want to make wudu, just completely submerge yourself in the water just for a second. Make an intention in your heart. Don't say it, you'll drown, but say it in your heart. And then you'll have a wudu, a proper wudu. Okay. And now I will demonstrate a complete wudu with all of its sunnahs before taking the last questions. Okay. So you start, for example, the first thing you want to do, all right, when you want to make wudu, is get a siwak or a toothbrush. Okay. So you can use a siwak, which is the toothstick that the Prophet ﷺ used, like they're sold here in a lot of the markets, or it's any toothbrush works. Okay. So you get to the faucet. What do? You wet your toothbrush and you use it. Okay. Brush your teeth and your tongue. Just a few brushes are enough. Okay. What do you do now? You rinse your hands 3 times, right then left. In wudu, it's always sunnah to go right then left. Okay, so you wash your hands like that, right then left, right then left, right then left, 3 times. Okay, just your hands up until what's this called? Your wrist. Okay, your wrist. After that, you get some water in one hand. Okay, and what do? You rinse your mouth and your nose like the following. So this one handful of water, you put some of it in your mouth, you spit it out, and the remainder of it you put in your nose and you get it out. And that's considered one washing of the mouth and one washing of the nose. Okay. Again, everything I've mentioned so far is extra. It's sunnah, you get rewarded for it. But if you leave it out, your wudu is still fine. So you do that 3 times. So that was the first time. Second handful of water, a little bit for your mouth, rest for your nose, and you blow your nose out with your left. Okay. Third time, some for your mouth, some for your nose, and you blow it out with your left. Okay. Then you move on to your face now. So you get a nice, handful of water. I intend to purify myself for salah or for prayer. You wash your face once. Okay. Twice. Okay. 3 times. Okay. And we said, as long as you follow the sunnah of just using your hands to push the water, you can rest assured that water is getting everywhere it needs to. There's no reason to be, so self-conscious or so paranoid, or that you drive yourself crazy. You spend half an hour trying to make sure water gets everywhere. Okay. All right. Just get water and use your hands, and the way your hands manipulate it when you rub it, it'll get everywhere it needs to get. Okay. Next thing you do, next sunnah, after you wash your face, is you can comb your beard if you have a beard. So you rinse your hand and you comb your beard. If you're a man with a beard, you comb your beard like that with your fingers, getting them moist. Okay. Now you're done with your face, and you move on to what? Your arms. So you move on to your arms. So how do you wash your arms? You have 2 options. You can either wash your arms from the tips or from the elbow. Okay. You can do it from the middle if you want, but usually the sunnah is to do it from the tips or the elbow based on how the water is oriented and coming down. Okay. So you want to wash it from the tips, for example, and under the faucet, you just get them wet and you wash your arm once, twice, 3 times. Do your right 3 times, and then do your left again 3 times. Okay. Underneath the faucet. Okay. Then you moisten your hands under the faucet and you comb through your fingers 3 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Just to make sure water is getting everywhere. And because the Prophet ﷺ made wudu in this way. That is your hands. Then you go on to your head. What do you do for your head? You moisten your hands. Okay. Moisten your hands under the faucet. And you put your thumbs on your temples. And you have your pointer fingers like this. And you just run them back. Okay. If you have long hair, run it like that again. And that's 1 time. Moisten again. Once. Okay. That's number 2. Another time. And that is number 3. Okay. If you have short hair that doesn't flip, just go back once. It's okay. All right. You don't have to come back another time. Is that clear? After your head, you do your ears. You do your ears. So the complete sunnah for your ears is to wash your ears 9 times. 9 times each. Now, again, this is a complete wudu to all its sunnahs. Okay? How much you want to use in your day-to-day life, if it's a lot, just start small and just add them gradually over time. Again, the bare minimum is just to do face, arms, head, feet, and you're done. Okay? But let's say you want to do all the sunnahs. Now you want to do your ears. Okay? So first thing you do when you want to wash your ears is the first way to wash your ears is to moisten your pointer finger and your thumbs. Okay? And you do this. Okay? So you moisten your pointer finger and your thumbs, and you do this for both. You have your pointer fingers to wipe the inside of your ear, and the thumbs to wipe the outside of your ear. You just do that. Okay? You do that 3 times. So once, twice, and 3 times. Okay? Then you take water on your palms, you moisten your palms, and you do this. Once, twice, 3 times. Then you take your pinkies. You wet them once, twice, 3 times. Now this is the complete sunnah. Now depending on your situation, where you are, how much time you have, you can shorten it if you like, but this is the complete sunnah. So if anyone wants to practice all of it, they know how to do it now. So now you transition to the back of your neck. Take some water on your hands and wipe your neck 3 times. Okay? Wipe your neck 3 times. All right? And then you wash your feet. Okay, wash your feet. How do you wash your feet? Similar to your hands, start with your toes and work your way up to your ankles. Wash your feet. The right 3 times, then your left 3 times. Okay? And make sure you also comb through your toes. How do you comb through your toes? This is my right foot. Imagine this is my right foot, okay? The big toe and all the other toes. Okay, this is the smallest toe, this is the biggest toe. Okay? I take my left pinky from my left hand and I comb through my toes like that. All right? So it's hard to demonstrate given the way I'm seated in the table. But imagine this is my foot, my right foot, and you comb through your toes just like that. You start with the space where your little toe is, and you just run through all of them in order. Okay? And then you wash your left foot 3 times. And you comb through your left toes as well. How do you comb through them? All right. How do you comb through them? You take your left pinky again. All right. And you comb from the little left toe to the big left toe. Okay. The little left toe to the big left toe. And you are done with your wudu. And when you finish, okay, you face the qibla, if you know where it is, and you make the dua of finishing wudu. You say, Allahumma ja'alni min tawwabin, waj'alni min mutatahhirin, waj'alni min ibadika as-salihin. Okay? And there's a hadith narrated that the person who makes this dua after making wudu, their wudu is stamped with the steel and then is accepted. Okay? So this is a complete wudu with all the sunnahs. But again, the minimum is just what? You wash your face with an intention. You wash both of your arms, a proportion of your head, and you wash both of your feet. Okay? In that order. And again, while it is good to practice all the sunnahs to the best of your ability, sometimes, you might have to shorten your wudu for specific reasons. You don't have enough water. You're in a facility where it doesn't, accommodate making complete wudu, or you're, for time reasons, you're somewhere where you're time crunched, or even just, working your way up to a full wudu because you're taking things slowly. Everyone knows their specific state and they just, work up to what is best for them. All right. So with that, we will open for questions if anyone has anything to say.
With the swimming pool, it has to be fresh water, no salt, no chlorine.
So he said, with the swimming pool, does it have to be fresh water? Can it be like a beach or chlorinated water? As long as it is water. As long as if you were to show it to someone, okay, and you ask them, what is this? And they say water, you can use it. Okay? So you can't, you can't be in a pool of soup, all right, and make wudu there, okay? Or a pool of coffee or something. Oh, second one, okay.
Real quick, demonstrate this last 2 parts of washing
The ear. So this is washing of the ear again is after you wipe your hair, right? The first way is like that. So you point your finger and thumb. That's the first one, right? The second way is you just wet, your whole palm and you do that. Okay? And the third one is just your pinky. Just do that. You're welcome. Go ahead, in the back. Can you repeat the question, please? Yeah, okay. Good question. So she's asking if you do want to wipe over your socks. Let's say you made a full wudu, you put on socks that are sturdy, meet the conditions. Do you have to pray with the socks on? You do. Okay. If you want to take them off, you have to rewash your feet, and then you can pray without them. Okay. So if you want to pray with them on, that's better. If you want to take them off, just rewash just your feet, and you're okay. All right. Is that clear? Go ahead. So you prayed, you made wudu for Fajr, right? You made wudu for Fajr, for example. You put on your socks, okay? Okay. So she's asking that, let's say she, in the morning, sometime 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, she makes wudu, puts on her socks or shoes that meet this criteria, and goes out the door, runs errands, chores, work, whatever, right? The whole time comes in, can she wipe over them? First of all, if you didn't lose your wudu, you can just pray immediately. That's a given, right? Let's say you lose your wudu. You've used the bathroom sometime in that time after putting on your shoes or socks. What do? You can wipe over those shoes and then pray in them, or wipe over those socks and then pray in them. Okay? So the sister says she read that you must make one wudu a day without your socks on. Is that true? If you are in your residence. So for example, let's take the scenario of the sister, right? In the morning at 8 o'clock, she made complete wudu and she put on her socks, right? And then she goes about her business, wiping, praying, whatever, right? She has 24 hours in those socks. So after 24 hours, she must take off those socks, okay, and wash her feet, okay, and then put them back on. Does that make sense? This is if she's in her residence. If she's traveling, let's say she's good on, she's traveling somewhere, right? She has 3 days in those socks before she has to wash her feet again. Okay? Yeah, go ahead. Bismillah. Exactly. So she's asking a really important question. She said that if you wipe over your shoe, you have to pray with your shoe on. That is correct. Yeah. Which is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, which is something to note. Okay. Let's say you decide to wipe over your shoe. Okay. Your shoe fits the criteria. You're going to wipe over your shoes, your Timbs, or whatever, right? You get to the masjid, you take off your Timbs. What's going to happen? You can't pray like that. You got to go wash your feet now. Okay. You got to go wash your feet now. Go ahead. Second question. Okay. Okay. So she's asking about how do you know if the water is pure enough to use for wudu, right? Okay. So basically, it comes down to this. If the water is more than 191 liters, what is that in gallons? Is that a big sigh? They have 191 liters is it's about 50 gallons. We'll say 51 to be safe, okay? If the body of water is more than 51 gallons, we'll say, or 50 gallons, okay? Then If the water's changed due to impurity in it, then you cannot use it. So best example, okay, we have a kiddie pool that has like 100 gallons of water in it. All right. And you're like, oh, great, I'll just make wudu in the kiddie pool. You get to the kiddie pool, it's a bit yellow. It's a kiddie pool. What do the kids do in it? All right. So what does that mean? Can you use that water? You can't use that water. It's changed because one of the kids decided to relieve themselves in it, right? It's actually changed in color. You might smell something. You can't use it anymore. All right. So if it's a large body of water, like a kiddie pool or a bath, or like a large bathtub or like a swimming pool or even like a river, imagine the whole river gets, contaminated and changes color and stuff. Okay. If the traits of the water actually changes, either the color changes or the smell changes or the taste changes, you cannot use that. Okay. That's for larger bodies of water, 50 gallons or plus. But if you have a smaller body of water, okay, let's say we have, I got a bucket of water, a couple of gallons, I'm going to use it to make wudu, okay? But if any najasa gets into it, you cannot use it, right? If any najasa, any impurities get into it, you cannot use it, okay? So for example, you have a bucket of water and you're going to use it to make wudu, okay? The old-fashioned way. Scoop it out and use it for yourself, okay? You're carrying the bucket, what happens? Okay, a bird, subhanAllah, just flies at the right time, and something just falls into your bucket from the bird. Okay, you guys understand, right? The bird excrement fell into your bucket. Or one of your kids comes up, they got like a nosebleed, blood gets in the water. Okay, could be anything, right? Any case, that water you cannot use anymore, right? If it's a small amount, less than 50 gallons, and just a drop of impurity gets into it, you cannot use it anymore. Okay. For us, practically in the West, honestly, most of the time, the water we're going to experience is going to be pure because it comes from the faucet, right? It comes from the faucet. And you can usually rest assured that the water that's coming out of the faucet is clean, right? It's unlikely. There's no reason to assume even that the water coming out of the faucet is impure because you don't know where it's coming from. Just assume it's pure. Sometimes you turn on the tap, water comes out a bit brown. What does that mean? It just means you got rusty pipes, right? You got rusty pipes, and that's not going to harm the purifying nature of your water. You can still use it. It's okay. Okay? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Any last questions before we break for Salah? Go ahead.
So for the complete submersion, like with the pool, if you step under a running shower like all at once, would that work?
So he said, if you step under a running shower all at once, is it similar to being submerged completely in a pool? If you got a really big shower where you're like completely like submerged as if you're in a pool, maybe, but that's highly unlikely. Basically, if you want to make wudu under a shower, what do? All right, just start with your face. I mean, let's say your whole body's wet, okay, because you're in the shower. Just rewash your face with an intention, and then wash your arms. Then get your head under the shower, then your feet, and you're done. Okay, you're done. Sorry. If you just have enough water to only wash the limbs of wudu just once each, that's fine. Washing it 3 times each is a sunnah as well. It's not mandatory. If you leave it out, it's okay. All right?
You have to make wudu to pray.
So he asked a question about ghusl, which we'll cover next week, inshallah. Is that fine? We'll leave it for its section, yeah? Okay. Any last questions?
If you have like, if your nails are cut, but you have difficulty like getting out like a little bit of dirt that's like stuck under there, is there like leniency with that?
If your nails are cut and you have a little bit of dirt underneath, is there any leniency in that? You can't use a tool to get them out? Like, like
Or if you try, but
it's just not coming out. It's stubborn. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you next class, okay? If I don't mention it in the beginning of class, let me know, okay? Okay. Should we end there? So we end with the Fatiha. When we start with the intention that Allah Ta'ala gives us beneficial knowledge and the tawfiq to act upon it, and He accepts that from us. And He gives us also tawfiq to spread it and to teach others, and that He makes a means to guide others, and that He also rewards the Prophet ﷺ and makes our spreading of that knowledge a means of Him being happy for us, and He rewards our teachers and our shuyukh and everyone else who has rights upon us. We know Hadrat Nabi.